Hello, and welcome to this episode of the HSCG Master Maker podcast. I'm here with two of my favorite guests, Baz and Stoney Morris, and they are from Dirty Unicorn. So, without further ado, welcome to my guests.
Hi.
Hello. Glad to be here.
Excellent. So, I've been wanting to have you guys on, and you're my first podcast that I'm doing with multiple subjects. So, this is fun. So, let's get right into the questions. So, before we get serious, I just need to know who is the dirty one and who is the unicorn?
Well, it actually depends on the week, that answer, but officially, I am the dirtiest because I started the company.
And
Okay.
I'm known as the husband corn
Right.
as I joined the company.
Excellent. Excellent. I knew there had to be a story there somewhere. Dirty Unicorn started during the COVID pandemic. What was the spark that started your journey into soap and cosmetic handcrafting?
Well, I lost quite a lot of money as a travel agent in one weekend, and I got really depressed and watched a lot of YouTube, and I stumbled into royalty soaps and just kind of binged her for a while and decided to, take a plunge. And the first time I did it, I fell in love with the artistry and the chemistry of the soap making. It was just a wonderful thing.
I know it's really hard not to get addicted. I always tell people if you're going to start in soap making, you're going to get addicted. It's going to be something that is going to be for the rest of your life. Okay. So, what point did you realize it wasn't just a hobby and that it could be a real business?
About a month after I poured my first bar, we had a closet that ended up with, I don't know, 45 or 50 pounds of soap in it, and I offered it for sale on Facebook, just like, "Hey, I've overcrowded, $5 a bar." And, my first batch sold out in, like, 4 days. Connections.
Wow. That's excellent. And at what point did you start partnering? Like, so what point did you become the 2 of you for the business?
So, I got cast on a TV show, Meet Your Maker Showdown with Chrissy Metz and Leanne Rimes, and I had to step out of the business for a number of weeks so I could go to California and quarantine for filming.
So I was a chef at a restaurant in our local area at the time. And so when he got the call, I left the restaurant industry to just help out for a little bit. And at that point, we decided just it's better for me not to go back and
Right.
just grow this
Mm.
company.
It was kind of interesting when I got off the plane coming back from California. I got home and he had this weird look on his face, and I couldn't figure out what it was for a while. And then it dawned on me it was a smile. He hadn't smiled in months from working at the restaurant. So
Yeah, and working at a restaurant, my brother actually has worked in
yeah.
restaurants his whole life, and it's a very high pressure
Oh
situation,
yeah.
right?
Very
I
much.
mean, we don't have the yelling cooking shows for no reason, right? It's interesting when I talk to people, especially makers who have come in from like the corporate sector or things like that. A lot of the stories are, I just wanted a better life. I wanted
Yeah,
to be my own boss. I wanted to make my own rules. I wanted to set my own schedule. So
very
it
much
sounds
true.
very similar to you guys. So you both came from totally different. So Stoney, you were a chef, and Baz,
Yes.
you said you were in the travel industry. How did your past lives shape what Dirty Unicorn would become today?
So I was also a former army, so I have military and chef training. And taking the culinary aspect of it is like when you go to fragrance a bar of soap or whatever you're making that day, you can use those same skills. So it's like flavoring. So like if it smells like it's not going to go together, it's probably not going to go together.
Right.
So I took those little tidbits of things and just started adding it into the maker world.
I always say too, like, making handcrafted soap and, personal care products, it's sort of a little bit of being a chef and it's a little bit of being a scientist and it's a little bit of being an artist. So you already had that background as a chef to go in. And what about you, Baz? Like, what did your professional experience translate into the business?
So I've had a number of jobs. Travel to the Age was the most recent. Before that, I was an escape room designer, and so I was constantly creating tricks and interacting with people and networking and getting to be creative and funny and kind of being myself a lot and putting myself out in front. And it's really the personality behind Dirty Unicorn comes largely from my past as being sassy and selling myself.
Absolutely. And that translates so well into selling products today because people want authenticity. They want some wit, they want some humor, they want some sass. It's those kinds of things that grab people's attention. And it seems like the internet obviously has had a big play in that. But also I think also the negativity on the internet has played into that because people are looking for humor and they are looking for something that inspires them and makes them laugh and makes them feel good in the sea of everything that's so negative.
Absolutely.
The It's that sassiness, those little remarks, but it's also the honesty behind it. Like, as long as you're actually being honest about your products and, like, doing that, people will buy
That's
because they
absolutely
see it.
true. That's happy, and they have to feel it, right? They have to feel it
Yes.
from you. You obviously have passion for your products, and it shows. And so people can feel that from you, and they're like, "Hey, I want a piece of this. I wanna try this." So, what's it like running a business as a married couple? So, what are the perks and challenges of working with your spouse on a daily basis?
So this one we get a lot actually, and our number one go-to is honestly most married people should not work together.
Right?
You have to have a very open communication rule. You have to be able to be with each other 24/7 every day and every night. So if you get aggravated with each other, go, "I need a minute," or things like that.
And there's no leaving it at the office when you are, running the business together. You're at the office together, you're at home together. There's no separation anymore. So you have to really love what you're doing and really love the person that you're with, and come at every situation assuming positive intent. You have to just know that your partner is there to help and reinforce, not bring you down. And when you work from that standpoint, it becomes a lot easier.
So, do you ever catch yourself, like, say, when you're home in rest mode and you start talking about work, do you ever put up your hand and say, "Okay, you know what? Let's just leave that for now and enjoy our dinner or enjoy our TV show or enjoy our little fire," or whatever you're doing?
It's about
Very rarely, honestly.
we do have those moments of like, okay,
Mhm.
we're going to talk about this in the morning.
Absolutely. So, when you disagree professionally or creatively, how do you solve it? Do you do rock, paper, scissors? Do you have a glitter fight, or is it something else?
I do like the glitter fight idea that might come into the repertoire. Honestly, one of the very first ones that I remember is kind of displaying, like how are we going to display at the market? How are we going to do this?
Mhm.
Because I've had experience in the retail industry with that. He's had a lot of retail experience, so it's a trial technically. Like, okay, you do it this week, we'll do mine next week, and then whoever's we see perform better, then we go with that.
Nice,
So
nice.
it's always like a testing
Okay.
theories.
And then there's the occasional, "I know you're right. I know you're right, but I hate it right now. So give me 5, okay?"
I know that you just won that little contest, but I need a moment, please. That's good though. I can tell you guys obviously love and respect each other and that's going to go a long way in a relationship as well as a business. Your branding's so cohesive with sass, wit and attitude and inclusivity. So was it intentional from the beginning or did it evolve?
So in a way, it was. It wasn't specifically targeted towards LGBTQIA people or any one group of people. What it started as was this was going to be an extension of us, and we were going to do and say anything that would have gotten us in trouble in a corporate environment. And so everything goes. And then in the area that we were developing in, queer people of all sorts started gathering towards us because we were one, we smelled nice, we bring bubbles, we're fun. But then people really realized that we are very supportive of communities and journeys, and we love hearing people's stories. And we kind of just developed a queer community around us. And our product has just kind of shifted more and more towards being queer supportive instead of just everyone who wants to have a good time.
Right, right. And some people would say that that's a dangerous proposition, right? To put out, exactly what you want to say. Do you find that you get any pushback or is the pushback minimal and the love and support that you receive like outweighs
I
it?
mean, visually, we get like if we're working like our local farmers market,
Mhm.
there'll be some people who turn their nose up at us, or we've even seen them like cross the street and then cross the street
Really?
as they walk by us. But it's very few and far between, and we get a lot more support than you'd imagine. Especially even when we're dressed in kilts for most part. You think we get like cross dressing comments and stuff like that, but no, people will actually come up and like ask questions, and like they'll bring their children up. They're like, "Mommy, why is he wearing a skirt? Why don't you go ask him, dear? He'll tell you."
Nice. That's a
So
good parent. Go
yeah.
ask, right?
And we
I
also get a lot more. Yes, we are a queer company, so we support all of our community, but we get a lot of attention just because we have bright colors. And so people will be like, what is this? What is Dirty Unicorn?" And then we get to do the whole spiel and tell them the story about everything.
I
We
hope
actually converted a homophobic person. His wife took a class with us, and she kept raving about like the time that she spent with us. After about a month and a half, he got tired of hearing about us without actually meeting us. So he came to the tent. He stood about 5 feet outside the tent for like 10 minutes,
Right.
and then he had brought the courage to walk inside. And now he spends a good 20-30 minutes with us every week, just
Excellent.
hanging out.
Excellent. I mean, again, you guys are authentically yourself. And I think people, whether they agree with you or not, they're drawn to authenticity. And they're drawn to you have a very happy, like you said, colorful presence about you. And that draws people in. They're like you said, what are all these colors about? Your products are very unique. For sure. So your product names are bold and hilarious. How would you know when a created name is maybe too far or when it's just right?
If I can't say it with a straight face, if I go to the point where even I internally cringe, because I do like 98% of the names, my biggest filter is there a situation in public where I would say this? Doesn't matter what the situation is, but would I actually say this? And if I would, it goes.
Nice, nice. What is some of your favorite names that you've come up with?
Frankly, before it's a Lisa Frank inspired bar, and it's just called Frankly Lisa.
Mm,
We have a candle called Calm Your Tits Mary. The Unipuff gets a lot of attention, but I formulated this sugar scrub for the body because I don't like traditional ones that are oily and greasy. So I made a cream soap base sugar scrub, and I couldn't think of how to describe it by product description. So I just called it the whippy foamy sugar scrubby thing. And that's actually the name of the product now is whatever the fragrance is. So the last one we just did was whippy foamy sugar scrubber watermelon thingy.
that's excellent. I love it. And I am a huge fan of your Rosemary's Baby lip balm, which I actually
That
have
is my
on
favorite.
right now. Oh,
Fantastic. I'm
it's
a bit of
good
a
stuff.
horror fan too, so that's where direct nod to Rosemary's Babies,
Excellent.
the movie.
So, what would you say to other LGBTQ makers or entrepreneurs who want to build something bold but fear backlash?
Ooh, more or less, you're gonna have those experiences. You're going to get pushback. So being afraid of it is okay, but also you need to push yourself a little bit because we need those interactions. Because without some of those interactions, people don't change.
Right.
So be your bold self. Push a little bit of a boundary. You're going to push yourself to be a little bit uncomfortable and make those decisions to have interactions with people. Well, you can't put that flag up. Why? That flag is not hurting anyone.
Right.
So go for it. And that's what I would initially tell any entrepreneur, be yourself and go.
Be authentic. Like you said quite a few times, it's about authenticity. It's
Right.
about being you and bringing what you stand for, what you believe in, and what you care about to the market, literally to the market.
Right. Do you engage with your naysayers or do you just pretty much let it ride?
Hands.
Pretty much always engage. Sometimes we do it passive aggressively or obnoxiously. You may put a censor bar over this part of this one. Um, like at Pride, there's always like the religious writers who come through and like decry, and you're going to hell, you're going to hell. I used to like confront them directly and scream back. That didn't really do anything. I used to like grab the person next to me and make out with them. Uh, to do that in front of them, that really didn't do anything. Finally found something that makes them run. I hit on them loudly, like "Yes, daddy."
Like,
Oh,
I
hate
love
me
that.
harder. This is great. Like this is my kink. It shuts them up and moves them on so fast.
Right.
So I guess you could say I do engage with them, especially in bigger events where they might cause harm to other people.
About like online. So like for social media, if you get called out or a review that you get, do you ever like try to engage with the person and bring them along on the journey
I
or you just kind of
don't
let it
think we I
Well,
don't think we've had one online.
really handle them.
Okay.
go? Okay.
If it's something about our politics or our queerness or anything like that, I honestly ignore it.
Okay.
But anything else I take care of very publicly, like just good PR. Yeah, we've only been attacked once for it, and it was very easy to just go, oh, delete. I'm sorry, you don't have free speech on my Facebook page. Yeah, just not.
Fair enough. Yeah, and good advice is you never wanna get into any sort of argument with anyone on social media. If you answer them and they come back again with something crazy, it's usually done, you know? And people, I think, see that too, like, if people are reading the comments and they see that you're trying to be professional and trying to be nice and somebody else isn't, it definitely plays poorly on their side more, right?
And that's kind of how I handle like the in-person ones is I enter the conversation that like I will listen to everything you want to tell me, but will you listen to me talk afterwards? And 85% of the time they walk away
I see.
because they don't want to hear what we have to say. They just want to get something off their chest. So it's like, I'll listen to you, but you need to listen to me as well. And they just walk away.
Right. Right. So let's get on to your business. What is your formula for growing your business and increasing your sales?
We've dove really hard into trade shows recently and bigger events where you wouldn't expect a company like ours to pop up. And so we're traveling a lot this year. We've been to 7 or 8 cities and gone to, like, huge, like, parties that happen to have a vendor hall. We did Furry Week in Atlanta. We've done something very similar to Mardi Gras. It just has a very different name. It's popping up in odd places where people don't expect you. It's the novelty of us that gets in some people's pockets, but it's the trade shows, man. It's the trade shows.
So what
Very
would
much.
you say to somebody who wants to get into trade shows but maybe has a little fear? Because for people who don't know and you haven't done a trade shows usually are more expensive than
Yes.
traditional craft fairs. And you have to have a different setup and a different mindset for a trade show. So what advice would you give somebody who's like kind of thinking about it but maybe a little nervous?
Well, first check with ones that you're interested in and see if there's like an emerging artists or an emerging companies,
Brand.
emerging brands. Because we did our first one. The one we do in Atlanta is typically about $5,000, but
Okay.
they have an emerging brands program that's 1,000.
Okay. Oh,
So you
that's
know,
So,
much different. Yeah. And you
so
could
yeah,
probably
yeah.
only do it once, correct?
2 times.
Few times. Okay. Good, good. Yeah, that's really good advice. Anything else? Like what else would you say to people who wanna just dive into trade shows?
So diving in, our big one is it's going to be scary. Just jump, because once you do actually make that commitment and go, it is a completely different market style. Like, yes, you need a different setup
Mhm.
because you're not actually selling a product, you're selling a case of products. So, like at a normal market, I can spend 20 minutes talking about a bar of soap and a person buys one.
Right.
Typically, at our first trade show, 5 minutes in, they've already bought 2 cases of things. And the buyers are literally, "I've gotta move. I've gotta get through this entire building.
Mhm.
Okay, I want that case. Just go."
Right.
So,
And
different mindset, different things. Just be willing to walk around and learn, because half of these places are free to get into. You just gotta register. Find a local one and just go walk around the building.
Right. Right. So as you're saying, if you're not a
As a
vendor, just to walk
Yeah,
around. Yeah.
go register and walk around one of the trade shows, in your area if you can,
Okay.
because that alone is gonna give you insight of, like, how people set up, what are the booths like, things like that.
there's also what served us well is our attitude of say yes and then figure it out. And that's kind of what we did. And then our third customer on our second trade show
Mhm.
was the owner of Hallmark stores. And we walked away from a 4-minute conversation with 100 stores.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think your advice too about just doing it because as you're an entrepreneur, a lot of you guys have each other, but a lot of people are alone. So you don't have anybody to bounce these decisions off. It can seem very daunting. It was the same thing for me when I started this podcast, actually. I've never done a podcast before, and to get to the point where I recorded that first podcast took me forever because I kept analyzing everything and second guessing everything. I think that your advice is great. Just get off the, chair and do it.
Like, for the podcast,
Right.
just hit record.
It,
Absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
never going to be the perfect time. You're never going to have the perfect product. You're never going to be perfectly polished. And who wants perfect anyway?
Right,
Fine.
right, right. So how do you decide which, trade shows to hit? Like, like we said, trade shows can be very pricey, $5,000 more sometimes. How do you decide, "Okay, it's worth it for us to risk that $5,000 entry fee to get into this one?" How do you evaluate them?
We chose the first one because it's kind of in our backyard. It's only an hour away, and it's one of the bigger ones. And then when you're there, you'll meet marketers from other trade shows. We're getting involved with one called Stimulate out of Nashville, which is a business to business sexual health trade show. And they approached us. They're like, hey, you look like someone that we need in our show. We've been approached by like New York Now and the Dallas shows, and they will tell you like you'd be a good fit for this. You wouldn't be a good fit for this. I could get you here. I could get you here. So it's about picking one that you can afford, that is accessible to you, and then you'll get into an ecosystem where other people will be there to go, "Oh, no, I need you here. Don't go to this one, do this one." And you end up with, like, this weird crew, this weird family that goes from city to city with you, and you end up in really great spots.
Nice. Nice. And a trade show too, by definition, like when somebody does a craft show, they like, okay, I
Mhm.
paid $1,000 to get in this craft show and I have to make this much in sales to sort of make it worthwhile. But a trade show, correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes you get orders weeks, months
A
after the
After.
trade show, right? So it takes a while to evaluate how successful a trade show was. You don't necessarily know the day you pack up.
Our metric for it is we like to break even for what it costs us to do it. So
Mhm.
the cost of the booth, the cost of the build out for the booth, we like to walk out cash in hand with that much, so we know that we at least cover the expenses. But the very first one we did, that emerging artist program, we only instead of like the 10 by 10 that we have now, we only had a 2.5 foot wide shelf. That was it, and so we sold 5,000 cash in hand at that conference. But we over working the contacts that we got, and that's the important thing is taking those, like invest in the badge scanner so you get everyone's contact information. From that 5,000 and the I don't know 40 people that we spoke to, we managed to pull out another $45,000 over the next 3 months.
Right, right. So it's those relationships that you're making that are
Yeah,
vitally important.
it's all about the relationship. It's so very very little about the actual sale of those things. So
Mhm.
so that makes it even scarier. But you just got to
Right.
commit to like invest the time in yourself and working the list that you did.
And buyers in trade shows are there to buy. Whereas a craft show, you have a lot of people who are just sort of window shopping. Somebody going to a trade show, they're there to buy something, right?
Absolutely.
Typically either because we've also noticed a trend of not the higher end boutiques or things like that. They'll just send people. The owner won't come until like the second or third day, but they'll send scouts out.
Right.
And you'll see people walking around and they'll take a note, and interacting with those people get you bumped up on their list. A good way to say it is because like interacting with everybody you see. I don't care what they look like, whatever, interact with everybody because you don't know who they're representing at the time.
Even their children.
Yeah, like interact with if they brought their kids,
Mhm.
have something and just go. Because I have my little bubble machine, so kids are there. They had a little bit more fun, and you get those other contexts that you didn't know you were going to get.
Do you guys have to hand out a lot of samples at these types of things or no?
We actually don't hand out samples at all. We have a couple of QR codes to be scanned, and then we have the product on display behind us, and people can interact with them. But we don't give out anything at all.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. Excellent. So Dirty Unicorn took off fast. Like we said, you started during the pandemic. So we're 5 years in ish. So what do you think fueled that early momentum?
I think it was because of where we are, like in the deep south. We get described as a breath of fresh air. There's a lot of like sad beige bomb vibe out here. There's a lot of perceived conservatism, and I'll say perceived because we've gotten to know people a lot better, and it's not what people think it is out here. But we are just bright, happy people just having fun and doing what we love, and what we welcome anybody into that energy. And that's really where we caught on locally. Nationally, we just got lucky. Frankly, we were in the right place at the right time. Trade show.
Okay. Have you been able to keep up with the growth? One of the things that I say, I've said on a few podcasts now, is don't create a monster unless you're prepared to feed it.
I
How are
like
you
that.
feeding your monster? And is it getting bigger? And do you have plans for feeding it when it gets bigger?
So on the growth thing, everybody, yes, all companies love growth. However, you have to be prepared for that growth. And I like the way you said that, be able to feed the beast that you're making.
Yeah.
You research the equipment that you're going to need to handle it. Because if you don't know where to go from growth, then you're going to stumble. In year two, we started looking at the bigger candle melters. Okay, what if somebody ordered 1,000 of these right now? This is the melter I might need. Or, okay, where am I going to store all this? What kind of boxes am I going to need? Start doing that now and that research now. That way, wait, I do have that extra income from the holidays. I'm going to go ahead and buy this big piece of equipment
Right.
so I can write it off on taxes too. That's always a good one.
We try to stay at least like 2 jumps ahead. So we know what like with this product line we need X, Y, and Z today. We have that. If we start regularly selling 100 of those every week, we need this. If we start doing 1,000 every week, then we need this. And so we can step up into it. And if we can make the bigger purchase earlier, I'm actually learning how to weld so that I can fabricate
Wow.
some equipment that we need because it's not available. What we need is just not available.
Right.
And it's would speed us up if we can do this. So I'm literally taking welding classes to be able to fabricate some equipment that we need.
It's amazing all the different hats that an entrepreneur has to wear. And I don't think I would have picked up on welder, but that's a new one for that. One of the worst things you can do as a small business, especially when you're going and you're investing in these trade shows, is to not be able to fulfill the orders that come in, right? Because they're going to move on, right? So your buyer is going to be like, well, this company cannot keep up with what I need, so I'm going to find somebody else.
Very much.
We actually
Right.
got in trouble a little bit because of the trade wars, and really it was the government shutdown that got us because the ports got very congested, and what usually took 2 days to clear took 3 weeks, and we had to have some difficult conversations with some of our stockists, but most of them, for the most part, were very understanding. They were like, "Hey, this is happening. We can't control it." At the beginning of the year, there was a supply chain issue with a lot of components for fragrance oils,
Mhm.
and one of our main scents was out of stock for 6 months. So
Wow.
we actually had to go to one of our partners at AFI and have them duplicate it for us, so that now they manufacture it for us directly, so we don't have to have that problem again. Because they could make it, but they couldn't make it to get it out to the people who were buying it to. If you have a good relationship with your vendors, they'll be less likely to move on. If you're also just upfront about it, like, "Hey, this is going on. We can't control it. This is
Right.
what we're doing to take action on it. Have patience." And I don't think we lost anybody.
That's and that's the biggest thing is like, yes, you're changing over from talking to a single customer to these clients. Just be upfront.
Right.
Hey, this is gonna take 6 weeks to get in. Then I have to make it. Then we have to package. So it's not gonna
Mhm.
get to you for at least 2 to 3 months.
Right.
And they typically, most store buyers do know that, and they're like, "Oh, okay, cool. I didn't want it until the holidays anyways, or this or that or the other."
Because they do
Uh,
plan ahead. They tend to
yeah,
plan ahead, but, like somebody buying it retail, they just buy it. Yeah,
the
you're
bigger stores are shopping at least 2 seasons out. So
absolutely. So, let's turn our attention to something
Mhm.
funny. So, what
Okay.
is the funniest or strangest customer request you've ever received?
Willy soap,
Really?
like, yeah, both the
Uh,
physical member and the,
yeah.
let's call it, the decoration, both for both of the that's one of the weirder ones. I don't think breast milk clip is that weird anymore. I think a lot of people ask it.
Yeah.
Um, we did get asked,
You get asked more than me.
I can't remember exactly what but it would involve handling blood, and I just had to know about that conversation so fast. I can't remember.
Yeah.
No, it was,
Hmm.
cologne. They wanted cologne made out of, someone's, blood. That
Oh.
was
Hmm.
mhm.
Yeah, I think I'd
Wait,
pass on
but
that one too. I think I'm
that's not my specialty. I don't do that one,
legal
I'm sorry.
issues are kind of stirring
No.
around in my head.
Just a lot of ick. Have you gotten any
Yeah.
weird ones?
I You get more of the requests than I do because as soon as somebody typically will ask, I'm like, he's my formulator. I make things, but he's my formulator. So if it's possible, ask him.
Right. What is
Mm,
one of your most favorite soap making disaster stories or making disasters? It
uh,
doesn't even have to be soap, any making disasters.
I have one, but it's technically not on. It wasn't us who made this. When we first started, we were actually in a shared working mercantile.
Story.
So we had it was 12 makers in this one building, and we all had our station, things like that. And she was a candle maker, and she's a wonderful lady. But she stored all of her fragrances in these beautiful brown glass jars. And she had one. I think she's had it for years and years, but it's a extremely older fragrance of rose.
Mm.
During one of her classes, she dropped it. So, but when she broke it, it went into the air vents.
Mhm.
So the entire building for almost a year smelled just like rose.
Oh, no.
Old
And it
antique.
was it was like one of those like, okay, I need to get this. We
Right.
literally had to we did research and help the people that owned the building. We had to get an ozone cleaner to
Wow.
install in the building to
Yeah,
get it
'cause
out
those are
there.
powerful. Fragrance oils are
Yeah.
very, very powerful. And
And I hate rose anyway.
yeah, and in, like, concentrate, like, whenever I smell a fragrance oil out of the bottle, I take the cap
Oh, yes.
like this. I can't smell the actual thing because it's just like, "Whoa."
Yeah, they get potent.
Yeah, you just kinda have to
Yeah.
get the little drive by,
Yes.
get the scent. Yeah, so what's next for Dirty Unicorn? More products, more mischief, a glitter takeover? What impact do you
Uh,
hope your brand and your products leaves on your customer and community?
A little bit of all the above. We're extending the travel. we're hoping to get into the Dallas trade show, not this January, but the one afterwards. And then same with Las Vegas. And there's a couple of large community parties in California that we want to get out to and selling. There's one, it's Dory Alley that it's about $10,000 to get a booth in,
Mhm.
but it's a like a 6 or 700,000 person and attendee.
Wow.
There's a lot of people that we know, not that make soap, but other crafters that do it. It's the only thing they do in a year. They spend 11 months making,
Mhm.
take it there and sell it all in a weekend.
You have to too think about travel and
Mhm.
hotel and flights or driving or
Mhm.
and getting your product there and
Yeah.
all of these logistical things. That's a lot.
Very much. Like you said earlier, like the hats that entrepreneurs have to wear, you have
Yeah.
to figure out, okay, am I driving to this market? Okay, it's across the country. Now I'm got to take 2 to 3 weeks to get out there almost.
Right.
Or am I going to fly? How am I going to bring my stuff?
Right.
How do I ship things?
Right.
Learning how to ship a pallet was a good logistical, fun new knowledge now too.
Had some fun conversations with Estes.
Yeah, you don't tend to, like when you're starting out in trade shows and stuff too, you don't tend to think of every little thing, right? So you probably learned on the job as you
Yep.
went and
Well,
got better
actually had
over
a
time.
we actually completely redid our booth every single time until this last one. So we have in the first year we did 3 different full build outs because it just didn't work. It
I
didn't
got
work right.
Well, you learn like every time you okay, during that one, I literally take out my phone every trade show now and just start making notes. Like, how can I make this better?
you. Okay.
Like, yes, you'll find your final setup one day, but like, I don't want to be that person. I want to change something every time because one of the things at the trade shows that we get complimented on is our booth is never the same.
Nice.
And the buyers that have been going there for years, they walk by half of them because they're like, I've seen you. I've seen this.
Right. Right. So you
So,
always look different
always try to bring something new.
and colorful.
Oh, and
Mhm.
colorful.
Yep. Yep. So if you could go back to day one of Dirty Unicorn, what advice would you give yourselves?
Just say yes. It's the best thing that you're going to ever do is just say yes. At every opportunity in this business, just say yes. You're going to end up doing some of the most bizarre things, having the most bizarre conversations, doing the weirdest things, all in the name of soap making. And the emphasis there is just because it's so weird. You would never think that a bar of soap would take you to New Orleans at a party or New York at midnight doing things that were not shady at all, completely not shady.
Like night markets, downtowns.
We've even helped a couple get married. Like we introduced them in a class and they got married like 6 months later. Like it's a strange, strange adventure, and just say yes and keep saying yes.
That's great
Mine would
advice. How about you, Stoney?
mine is I think I still say it to this day because my husband is take a deep breath. It will be fine. You just have to think through it.
Right.
So take a breath. Because once you take that breath, you're like, oh wait, no, I can do this. You're
And
always
saying yes, you figured that out. You're like,
Yep,
and when you come at it, like when I recorded the
yep.
first podcast, I left this studio and I was like, wow, I just feel good. I feel like I accomplished something. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that was the worst podcast I've recorded. But,
But now they get
yeah, because
yes.
I was very, very wooden and, because as an executive director, I've spent my entire career being professional and speaking and public speaking. So I was so into that mode, it just wasn't
I
working?
yeah.
Yeah, so you
No,
always just learned. I
Yeah.
I love that advice, just say yes, take a breath and do it, right? All right, last question. So, what has been the most unexpectedly meaningful thing during your journey?
Mine is the doing our because we have our weekly's farmers market and it runs throughout the entire year. During that, every Saturday, we always get we call it finding our unicorn, but we always come across somebody who either just needs to talk
Mhm.
last Saturday and it made me happy. So just those little interactions to have in our community, somebody was there for that one person. And that's what we typically try to do every market.
uh, it was just 2 weeks ago. We were at like a Christmas festival. Someone stopped dead when they saw our names, turned around and went, "It's you! You're the unicorns." Yes.
Yep.
What did we do? No, I'm sorry. No, my friend was just talking about you. Like, I'm sorry, I've never met you. She was just starting a business, and you spent so much time with her that
Yep.
she talks about you all the time. You were so encouraging. You're so kind, and helping her answer all of her questions. And she's like, I've heard so much about y'all. Everybody that I know that has started a business always says go talk to the unicorns. They'll
Mhm.
help you.
Right, right. I think when you're spreading kindness around, that's going to entice people to come speak to you. Anytime you can express kindness to somebody and acceptance to somebody, I think you're gonna win them over for
Okay.
sure.
But yeah, no, our little Waffle House one it was 4 a.m. And we were driving to Key West for a market, and we like to leave super early because no traffic. So we stopped at Waffle House for breakfast real quick, and it was in our local area. And she's preteen. I think she's 11 or 12.
Our mother came first.
Yeah, mother came over, was like, "Hey, it's her birthday. Can she just come say hi to y'all?" Because she bought soap from us like 4 or 5 months and just fell in love with the colors, the glitter, and things like that.
Right.
But at 4 a.m., we got stopped. My daughter just wants to come say hi.
They both plopped down in
I
our
was
booth
like,
and
"Yeah,
talked to us. We're like,
yeah, come on."
Nice,
it's 4:30. Can I eat my eggs, please?
nice.
It's
That makes you feel good too.
those unexpected moments of like, I didn't realize that we touched, like, made her feel that way until that day. But she was one of those people like, you just made my daughter smile that day, and now you're part of us. So,
I think that I can see that for you too. I know you personally, so I always get that energy from you guys. You're very helpful, you're very positive, you're funny, and that's gonna draw people in, and that's gonna help you with your business for sure.
mm, thank
So far, so good.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I'd love to have you
you.
back sometime and talk about the glitter takeover or something like that. So,
Well,
but thank
Love
you
it.
for being a part of the show. I really appreciate it.
our pleasure. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.